Carl here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, GBHBL.com for short. And I'm here with guitarist Jarrett Pritchard and drummer Clayton Gore from Death and Doom band Pulchra Morte. I hope I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Pulchra Morte. Close enough.
Pulchra Morte. Right, gents,
Pulchra,
it is a pleasure to be speaking with you. Starting with you first, Jarrett. How's your day been so far?
It's pretty good. We are in the studio here. I've got some friends that are from a really well-known metal band killing some vocals in the other room, and my business partner's handling that while I'm doing interviews.
Awesome.
Our air conditioning unit for the studio tried to freeze up, and Jeremy fixed it with a can of WD-40 and a good solid kick. So the day's not going too bad, to be honest.
And yourself, Clayton?
Yeah, my my day has been kind of pretty much the same and sort of a blur the last, 6 or 8 months now. So nothing too unusual, but happy to be speaking with you.
Well, you brought it up already. The elephant in the room. Can't start any interview without talking about the COVID times. How have you both been holding up this year?
Well, it's strange because I'm not touring and my life and schedule have slowed down a lot. But overall, I mean, I kind of do the same thing I do most times. I work in the studio, I practice my guitar, and I print shirts in my garage. And other than just, the weird uncertainty of what's coming next or when we're going to be able to get back to work, it's not been super different. I mean, it comes with some anxiety, but for the most part, we're doing all right.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunately spent the entirety of this laid off, so my job has been looking for a job. So other than, playing drums and writing songs, that's the bulk of my day.
The job search going well?
No, it's not. We'll see. Right now, it's been a year since I got laid off from my last job, and things were going, it was looking great. I was about to had a few offers on the table, and then COVID hit, and everybody froze their, external recs, and it's just been sort of chaos since then. So it's pretty fucked up from income perspective, but making it work.
Yeah, I mean, I was on tour. I was on tour with Abbott, sitting in Denver, about to start the Decibel tour, and we're all raring to go, and it's like a telephone call comes in, and it's done. Everybody's going home, and like work just goes and just stops. So it's a trip, man. I won't lie to you, it's a trip, but I don't really freak out about stuff like that. I mean, I just figure it's going to go how it's going to go as long as I'm doing what I need to do. I mean, that's the best I got. I can't really give any more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I guess the frustration comes just from not really knowing when things can kind of get back to some semblance of normality.
True. Very true.
So, gents, November 6, 2020, your second album, Ex Rosa Ceremonia, it's released. Where's your head at with it right now? And looking back over the year and the planning and the working on it, are you happy with what you've accomplished here?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's been sort of a long journey. I mean, I recorded drums for this thing last September. So, we've been writing this for a good 2 years and kind of putting everything together, all the pieces. And, Jarrett, even during mixing, was adding some, little tweaks here and there, some sort of, icing on the cake with some of the cello and female backing vocal arrangements. And, it's so kind of having the, quote unquote, extra time with everybody sort of in lockdown and being able to contribute, including, backing vocals from people literally all over the world has been sort of fun to kind of piece together.
I'm just in that space where you come out of it. It's sort of like coming up for air. You start, we all the way back to the demo phase, and we get these demos and we start going back and forth between the three kind of core writing part of the band, which is Jeff, whose contribution can't be understated. A lot of the riffing stuff is based on Jeff Breeden, who is is a really, really just a fantastic guy to work with and everything else. And then normally what happens is that we take and we go through a process where we sort of bounce back and forth, Clay and I, with arrangement and maybe some harmony changes, some speed changes like tempos and things like that. And a lot of this was ultimately finalized. Funny enough, I was in England on tour with Kiefer Sutherland doing monitors for him, and I was basically arranging and recording solos and stuff for the demo stage of it in hotel rooms across the UK. Then we go in, we do the drums, we're doing this, that, and the other. It's like a really long process of especially in between touring, which is the way we were doing this, where we were geographically separated. So we would book sessions together. The guys would come here after we were done, and then we would do whatever. And so now, anyway, not to be long-winded, at the end of it, when you've done all this work and your head's really in it, you're playing 70 takes of a solo because you're OCD and it has to be just how you want it to be. When you get done with it and you look over the thing, it's like, okay, wow, here we have an album. Here's the cover. Here's the gatefold. Here are all the songs. I can listen to the songs. It's like a big breath of air. Like you finally, you see your accomplishment. And so your head there's a sense of relief, but then there's a sense of pride when you listen to what you've created and you actually really personally like it. And it's not an arrogance. It's just like, wow, we did that. Me and my friends did that. That's like how I feel about this stuff. Me and my friends created this, and it's fantastic. It's something I want to listen to, and I'm extremely happy about it. That's where I'm at. I love it.
Brilliant. Now it's just a matter of sending it out into the big wide world and seeing how everyone else feels about it.
Exactly.
Do you feel as though this album is deep progression, a clear advancement of what you did on the first record?
We've talked about that quite a bit, and it's interesting, especially when we first started recording this. We're like, this group of songs it feels different, from the first album, and it wasn't that we set out to do that by intention. We just write, what is coming to mind and what comes naturally. And in that sense, it feels like a natural progression to us. But, I think with the first album, we really wanted to kind of come out and make a statement with, what we were trying to do and kind of where our heads were. And I feel like we did that very aggressively and sort of, on the nose. And I think this really just kind of elaborates on that and brings people into kind of what we're about a little deeper.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. And it does feel like a progression because I've said a couple times that when I got involved on the first record, it was, essentially it was written for the most part. I mean, I contributed a lot as a producer, but the foundation of it was done. In this record, it was a lot more of a result of the three of us going back and forth with ideas and stuff. And so what you're hearing now really is a collaborative effort between Jeff and Clay and myself, musically speaking, of course, Adam, because, he sang it and wrote the vocals. But it is absolutely a progression. And it's also, I feel like you can hear individually on this record who's playing on it. Like I know I can.
As a unit then, and the group of writers, the three of you and so on, does inspiration come easy to you, this constant back and forth and flow of ideas?
I think the parts that I contribute come without warning. I mean, at the same time, I can be at the hotel and where I was, there's a song that's on the album that I did a lot of work on in this one hotel that I'm remembering right now. And it's just kind of like it's time to work and you start playing and there's only two ways it's going to go. I mean, you're either going to have something or you're not. And so for me, I think inspiration is it's something that I feel like I'm lucky that I can sit down and put myself in a situation and my mind will start to do what it's supposed to do. I wouldn't say that it's forced, but I feel lucky that I'm able to conjure it.
Mm.
Yeah, our writing process really starts with Jeff, and he will, we've encouraged him to just, anytime you get an idea or anything remotely resembling a song, just throw it down, record it. Let's not lose it, and let's just kind of see what comes out. And I'd say probably 90% of the time, he'll just send over complete songs and say, "Here, look at this. What do you think of this?" And when I hear it from Jeff, like I can see where it's going. I hear in my head the final version of what this song is going to be, or at least what I think it's going to be. And I'll start demoing drums and maybe rearranging some parts. Let's do this here and that over there. Let's extend this part, maybe slow this part down, just kind of build on this foundation that Jeff has given us. And then, I'll send that demo over to Jarrett and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And then Jarrett hears it, and then he adds his flavor to it. Maybe he hears some, completely different kind of things and does some rearranging, and then we'll get it back and go, "Yeah, wow, okay, that's what that's supposed to sound like," And so just the whole process of that collaboration is very inspiring for sure.
Yeah, even listening to you talk about it, it sounds it. And what about the concept then? I've been reading up on it today, and the part that kind of jumped out on me, seeking to encourage a mental and spiritual renaissance. Can you kind of elaborate on what that actually means to you?
Well, I will definitely do that. I feel like in the past, there have been points in history, at least things I've read about, I wasn't obviously there, where it seems like even in secret behind, closed doors, human understanding of our universe or what's possible or side the other has taken a leap. I feel like we're at this really strange point now where we've introduced some technological things into our society that are they are useful, but they have changed the way that we do things quite a bit. And underlying in there, in my opinion, that there is an artificial intelligence that's doing whatever it's want, that is having an effect on our psyche. And I feel like it's important that we as creatures watch how closely we rely on that little blue light box. Read a book. If you're sitting in front of a screen all day, every day, and that's how you see your life is not what you see. Your life is what you're being shown. That's dangerous. Go outside. Look at your world for what's in front of you, not what someone tells you it is. That's what that means.
Fascinating. And is it one of those things where you hope the listener will be able to not only get that, but also have their own interpretation of it?
I mean, I would say absolutely. I mean, I think that's the most important thing. And I've said this a lot of times about music in general. Like, in my opinion, music is, you're sitting in your bedroom with your guitar and you're going to write a thing.
Yep.
And that's going to come out of like whatever's happening. Let's say that you're really depressed. Like, I don't know, you've like broken up with your girlfriend or whatever's having, and you just like rip these songs out of you. Like, that's a translation of emotion. You're taking something that's non-tangible, a feeling, and you're giving it a voice. You're translating from your feelings into something that can be heard. And then the person that hears that is then going to use their understanding or their perception to translate that into how they feel. And you want them to understand where you came from, but you also want it to feel however it needs to feel from them at the time. If you wrote something that was because you were bummed out, you don't necessarily want to bum people out. If something's dark and heavy and it makes someone feel like inspired or invigorated and maybe to charge through something really bad that's going on with them, that's definitely what you want. So their perception is extremely important, I would say, for sure.
Brilliant. So you guys are quite active on social media, the band. Is that an aspect of being... it is an aspect of being in a modern band. Is it something that you enjoy, though? Or do you just see it as a kind of necessary evil?
Yeah, the entire struggle with, you asked earlier kind of where our heads are with this thing now. And, the real trick, since there's so many bands and so much music out there, given that the technology is advanced to a point where, somebody sitting in their basement can write an entire album that sounds great.
Yeah.
So the real trick is just getting people to click on it. Just give it a shot. Just take a listen. Just that first listen. If you don't like it, that's fine. Good. I don't care. But just getting people to actually click the thing and listen to it is the biggest trick. And that's where, it feels like social media is certainly a good way to do that, and sort of, as you said, a necessary evil in that way. Because, just trying to get your band noticed in the sea of noise that's out there is no small feat.
Yeah, I would say that I have mixed feelings about social media. When I last night I posted a thing about favorite guitar lead of all time, and I had 250 people, which is completely outlandish for me. I don't have that sort of traction. 250 people commented and talked about their favorite guitar spot. Not one person was shitty to anyone else. No one said anything to another person about like what you like sucks or this, side, or the other. And I was like, wow, like I had like a level of renewed faith like in people. In general, when I look at it, I am not super thrilled with how people treat each other, to be honest. But I do feel like where music's concerned, I mean, this is the landscape now, and it's been that way for quite a while. And this is the way that a lot of people find their music. To not participate in it would be like refusing to sell your record in a record store because you don't like malls. It would be counterproductive. So I couldn't say that. On the subject of social media, since I have the platform, I'm going to say 2 sentences real quick. People just need to be nice to each other. There was a time when if you talk shit to each other the way people do on the internet, you got punched in the mouth. People should think about that, because it's not cool to be such shitheads to each other.
Absolutely. At least on a positive, when we look at comments on your released music so far, it's predominantly very, very positive. Does that take some of the pressure off when it comes to fan expectations?
Oh, God. Clay, go ahead.
I certainly appreciate it. I mean, that's, we, at least speaking for myself, I just play things that I would want to hear. I mean, that's all it is. And, in my experience over the years, you end up with a circle of friends where you have common interests and common likes. And, a lot of times it's music that brought that group of friends together. So, seeing that type of relationship sort of happen online is pretty cool too. I'm happy people enjoy it. I think it's gratifying in that sense, but it doesn't, drive me or motivate me. Hey, people like this, we need to create, this album part 2. We're always just going to write, whatever is coming to mind, and, try to service the song as best as possible and make it a complete expression of emotion, on a song by song and album by album basis. And, if people can appreciate that and see the work that's gone into it and enjoy it, and it means something to them, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think you can't. I don't think that it's smart to sit around and try to write specifically for acceptance. I mean, if you look at the Ramones, for instance, I mean, at the time, no one liked the Ramones. And at this point, they're considered, to be hugely influential. Time will tell on everything. I mean, as far as the acceptance goes, I mean, obviously I want to hear people's real opinions, whether they're positive or negative. But I will say that the fact that anybody likes what we're doing is fantastic. Like anyone that says that it doesn't play a part in it is a liar. It makes you feel amazing that you're able to share something and people dig on it. I would never go into writing anything that way. I would just try to do what's natural to me. And, I mean, another example too, and I mean, you look at My War from Black Flag. I mean, it was, punk rockers hated it worldwide. I mean, now look back, it's one of the most influential, records of several genres. So it's like, you just do what you feel. You do what you feel, and if people like what you're doing, then that's a huge bonus, because it empowers you to go and do another thing when you see, like, great, I've got people that are of the same mindset as me. People are feeling what we're laying down. That the feeling is amazing. I cannot overstate how grateful I am to see anyone paying attention to what we're doing.
Well said. So in the UK, we're kind of having a bit of a pushback on streaming services and the revenue artists and bands gain from that. Is that something that you guys would want to be on board with, if you could be? And how do we make it fairer for artists and bands?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very fair statement. I've seen a lot of artists come out talking about Spotify, and when you look at the guy that created Spotify and the lifestyle he's living, it certainly appears from where I'm sitting, and he's built that lifestyle on the back of other musicians and is other people's work that he's not really paying for in any sort of fair way. It's something that, as we talked about earlier, kind of the evolution of technology is great in the fact that you can kind of get new music out to everybody instantaneously. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the right way to do it. And this idea that you have to be able to, exploit some of the digital streaming services to be a successful musician it's just sort of disheartening to me. I mean, me personally, I don't subscribe to any streaming services. I still go buy records. I've got probably 1,200 albums, a couple thousand CDs. I mean, just, that I've built up over the years, that if, tomorrow some streaming service decides that a particular ideology or musical genre or, whatever the flavor of the day is no longer acceptable or in vogue, and they just disappear all those albums, then, they're gone forever from somebody that only subscribes to digital. Whereas I can come down here and listen to whatever record I want that I still have, because I directly supported those artists by buying a physical product. So I'm fully on board with, going, more of an effort to go back to physical. That being said, I also rip everything I have so I can put it on my phone and listen to it in the car, because it's very difficult to have a mobile turntable. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I mean, I mean, in general, the record industry in general has always, in a way, been based on exploitation, and the only time that we've really seen anyone step outside of that is going to be with the indie labels. So particularly, Danger House, Discord, and SST are what come to mind, where a couple, bands and artists, musicians grouped together and said, no, we're going to do it differently. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm all ears, because I don't feel like the way things like Spotify in particular operate are fair. I know financially what it takes to make music, and it's not really what you would call profitable. Probably not profitable for, to support 5 people. That's not why I do it, so I'm not complaining necessarily. But the side note to that is that watching some billionaire, sit there and, kick it on his yacht because he's collecting money off of, the backs of a bunch of musicians. Yeah, I definitely don't agree with that. I mean, I feel like whatever monetary gain he's getting for the service, obviously you should be paid for your service, your technology, your maintenance, and your staff, but just blatantly just taking the lion's share of everything from artists that are creating your content is absolute bullshit. Like, fuck you.
Yeah. It wouldn't exist without artists.
Doesn't really. Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't just give a free pass to record labels that produce physical product either. There's a reason that we partnered with Transcending Records for this release, versus some other labels that we had been talking to, where the model is still very much sort of ingrained in, what it looked like in the 70s, right? So I think that the music industry in general, from a business perspective, is long overdue for an overhaul.
Yeah,
brilliant.
For sure.
After the album's released, November 6th, is it take a breath and just relax time, or are you powering on?
We've already got 4 songs written for the next record. We've got 2
that?
other sort of tribute / cover songs that we're talking about working on. I mean, we're getting together here in 2 weeks to start kind of writing and recording some stuff and just kind of go down, beginning demos for the next album. So, it's just like the last album. As soon as that album was out, we already had 5 songs, ready to go for the next one. So, that's what we do. Jarrett owns a recording studio, especially now when we're all just sort of, at home. We have plenty of time to work on music, so there's no excuse. We just keep trucking and keep kind of writing what we want to hear and hopefully put out stuff that people enjoy.
Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Charge hard. I mean, if we can't go play shows, then it's going to be a live video concert. I mean, stopping is not on deck. There's no stopping.
Jarrett, Clayton, thank you so much for your time.
Hey,
Awesome.
Thank you too, man. It's really great talking to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/GBHBL, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?